Hello, welcome back to the Freak Show. Bumpy McSquiggums here. I want to thank you all for joining me as I continue with my Let's Play of Shadowrun Hong Kong. We're on episode 16, and we're about to talk to Isobel and Gobbet. Let's get to it. Isobel is jacked into the octopus. Her body sits inert, her breathing shallow. As you approach, an image blossoms onto the largest of the octopus's view screens. Or as I say, the Oculus Rift's view screens. Wouldn't make any sense. Hello down there, it's good to see you again. She smiles down on you from the monitor, her outline scintillating with blue, white light. She looks peaceful, at ease. Nice avatar, that's a good look on you. You really feel at home in the Matrix, don't you? You look happy in there. Any thoughts about that last run? Nice avatar, looks good on you. Isn't it? I spent months customizing this avatar. She feels more real to me than my own skin. You really feel at home in the Matrix, don't you? I suppose that I am. It's a comfort thing. As long as I'm jacked in, I can be whoever I want to be. Whatever I want to be. Out there in meat space, I usually feel uncomfortable in my own skin. The avatar offers you a lopsided smile. I'd probably just live in here if I could. I've heard about deckers who've tried it. It never turns out well. Dehydration is a bad way to go. Sounds nice, doesn't it? But it'll never happen. I know, and of course I was joking. But truth be told, I do spend most of my time out there, wishing I were back in here. If you were a decker, you'd feel the same. It's hard to live in a cage of meat when you know how sweet it feels to leave your body behind. She pauses for a moment, considering. Then her avatar shimmers forward, filling the screen. A slight frown crosses her face. You know, Squigs, I've been thinking about the question you asked me a little while back. The one about the walled city? The avatar fidgets. The one that I dodged? Yeah, I remember. You don't have to make a big thing out of it, Isobel. It's fine. It didn't really feel like a dodge to me. Besides, the whole game of questions thing was your idea in the first place. Yeah, I remember. Look, I wasn't trying to cheat you out of your answer. I want you to know that. It's just that talking about the walled city is, well, problematic for me. I understand. I grew up in the Barrens. I know how hard it can be to talk about this stuff. We've all got problems. That shouldn't stop us from doing what needs to be done. Things are hard. I get it. But this is important, ease. Please don't call me that. I let Gobbet get away with it because we go way back, but I've never liked it, she sighs. And no, you don't get it. The problem isn't that I'm tortured by bad memories or anything like that. The truth of the matter is I can't remember my childhood. The walled city, that entire chapter of my life, is nothing but a blur to me. I can give you general information about life on the inside, but the specifics of my own experience are gone. Gone? What do you mean gone? Do you have amnesia or something? General information is fine. Anything is better than nothing, which is what I'm working with now. Something like that, the avatar fidgets on the screen. There were a variety of factors in play. The upshot of all this is that there are things that I can tell you about, but only a few, and only in bold strokes. Don't expect any personal stories. I couldn't share them even if I wanted to. So if that's okay with you, if you'll be satisfied with the trivia... or with trivia and urban legends, then we can talk. Just say the word. Otherwise, well, at least now you know why. How did you lose your childhood memories? The Isobel avatar frowns. I'd rather not go into it. It's, well, personal. Suffice it to say that I've never missed them, at least not until now. That wasn't an answer. What happened to you? If you ever want to talk about it, I'm a good listener. Alright, that's the one. She looks away. Great, I'll keep that in mind. Give me what you can about the walled city. At this point, anything would help. Alright, the avatar licks its lips and nods. I can do that. Isobel's avatar turns, begins to pace the screen where she steps. Spiderwebs of light spread across the tiled ground of the octopus's sculpted matrix hub. When I think of the walled city, the thing that stands out the most to my mind is the legends, the mythology of that place. If I hadn't lived with them, I might have found those stories fascinating. The scintillating figure turns to you on the screen. Did you know that Kowloon Walled City is supposed to be cursed? That's what the locals believe. We had ghost stories and everything. Ghost stories? The Isobel avatar nods. Our own homegrown legends about things that haunted the Walled City. Demons from another place. The Yama Kings. Yama Kings, derived from the mythological judge of the dead, I presume? Tell me whatever you can about these things. Wait, the walled city is possessed by demons? No, not really. It'd probably be easier to think of the Yama Kings as urban legends, our own little pantheon of monsters and morality tales. Oh, that said mortality for a second there. Tall tales about things with claws to frighten ourselves at night. The stories are still clear in my mind, even after everything that happened. Everyone in the walled city believed them. You can get out of the walled city if you make a deal with Fu Mang. Cut the hearts from the 44 people closest to you and bring them to him. He will reward you with riches. Don't go under that arch, or Kian Ya will catch you. Sorry guys, I'm absolutely 100% certain I'm butchering the crap out of these names. And for that I do apologize, but I'm at least gonna attempt to sort of semi sound them out. I don't know guys, I've got no answers for you here. The avatar grabs at the air, its hands leaving glowing trails as they move. She'll rip out your teeth, tie your tongue in a knot, and make you her slave for eternity. We had Qi Xiang, our homegrown judge of souls. People would let themselves be flayed alive in hopes that he'd reawaken them in a better life. And we had Lam Vi, the Ebony Queen, who'd teach you to hide so well that you'd slowly mutate into a cockroach. Creepy! The avatar cocks its head, smirking a dismissive gesture. It's all bullcrap, of course, but everybody in the walled city believed it. If everyone believed in these things, maybe they're real. I wouldn't write the stories off so easily. Magic is real, Isobel. If you're so convinced that these things are myths, why does everyone in the walled city believe them? Because they're an excuse. My parents and neighbors, their whole generation, invented the things to explain away their own failings. I can't go ahead because demons are keeping me down. Woe is me. Woe is me. It's almost embarrassingly transparent when you really look at it. Lam V turning people into cockroaches? It's just a... what? I've got nothing. Kafkaesque trope, I guess? Kafkaesque trope layered onto the morality tale. Qi Xiang? He's just Anubis with a different coat of paint. And you know that archway that I mentioned? That one that Kian Ya was supposed to haunt? I know somebody who found it. There was nothing on the other side but concrete. It's all superstitious drivel, Squigs. The misery in the walled city isn't the fault of demons or devils. We created it. We perpetuate it. We blame made-up monsters for our own failings. There's nothing more pathetic than that. That sounds less like you're trying to convince me than it does that you're trying to convince yourself. What about the shared dreams? How do you explain those away? I don't know. Mass psychosis, or maybe something magical is going on. But it isn't them. They aren't real. They can't be. Anyway, that's enough for now, huh? I'm sure that gives you plenty to chew on. My obligation to give you an answer is satisfied, I think. So, let's talk about something else. Can you think of anything else at all that might help us? I don't know, maybe. I'll put some thought into it. The avatar pauses, turns away. After a moment, Isobel's voice pours through the Tridio's speakers. On second thought, maybe I do have an idea. Are you open to taking on more work? Of course, kindly sending me new job offers all the time. That depends on the nature of the job and the size of the payday. Right now, I think that we've already got about as much work as we can handle. Of course. This wouldn't be work for Auntie Chang. Think of it as a side gig that you'd be doing for me. I think I've got a line on some software that could help us. I can't get to it on my own, though. It's a two-person job at least. What kind of software? It's kind of hard to explain. It'd be easier for me to just show you, but trust me, it'll help. I have the run all planned out already. I've done the legwork. I know the location. I know the target. Just say the word and I'll send everything I have to your mission computer. You can look it over, weigh it, and decide what you want to do. Alright, well, sounds like a deal. Send the file. Alright. The Isobel avatar closes its eyes for a moment, then opens them with a smile. Done. You'll find the pertinent documents waiting in your inbox. If you decide to accept the mission, just check the box in the message documentation and it'll ping my comlink automatically. Alright, I can't wait to find out what this is all about. I'm sure that the briefing I sent you will satisfy your curiosity. Trust me, Squigs, this is a good job with a solid plan behind it. You'll see as soon as you've read it. And speaking of which, you should go do that now. Say no more, I'll check it out. Alright, the avatar beams at you. Fantastic, I can't wait to hear what you think. It's alright, my little dwarven, crazy, Decker person. Gobbet! Gobbet, hello. Gobbet? Gobbet, speak to me. Gobbet? Gobbet! Come on. There it is. Gobbet looks up from a dented tin of oysters at the sound of your approach. Her rats, Madness and Folly, scurry from her hips up to her shoulders. Two sets of beady red eyes fix themselves on you. Hey, Seattle. Oyster? She spears a gray lump of seafood with a fingernail, extends it to you. It smells like low tide at a municipal pier. Eat the oyster? Sure, why not? No thanks. Are you trying to kill me? We'll go with no thanks. She shrugs and pops the oyster into her own mouth. Suit yourself. So, are you here for a reason? How do you like life here on the Bolt Hole? It's fine, shaping up. Having new roomies is always nice. She smiles. How are you enjoying your cabin? Company enough for you? It isn't half bad. Better than some of the places I've squatted in back in the Barrens. I've heard stories about the Redmond Barrens. Sounds like a real winner of a place. Kowloon isn't any better, of course, but at least our little slice of home is safe. That's true. It's handy to have a mob boss on your side. Yeah, handy. Auntie Cheng is definitely that. She half frowns. Don't know if I'd say that she's on our side, though. Why? She's helping us. Yeah, I know what you mean. Of course you do. Let's change the subject, huh? I'd rather not think about the old woman right now. You know, the Bolt Hole is a pretty mediocre name for a ship. Ever considered changing it? Yeah, sure. Considered it a bunch of times. I never really cared enough to actually do it, though. She shrugs. You want to call her something else? I'm open to it. I want a strong name. How about Defiance? The Revenge feels appropriate. Well, let's go with something classical. The Dowager Empress. Sure. Has a nice ring to it. Nope. Let's call her the Kraken. The Big Texas. That's what we're calling her. Tell me you don't love it. On second thought, let's just stick with the Bolt Hole. Hey, whatever you want. It doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter all that much to me either way. Alright, so, you know, the Bolt Hole's... You know what? Why don't we rename it? Let's rename it something cool. How about we call her the Kraken? I like it. Aye, aye, Captain. The Kraken it is. She nods enthusiastically. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I think that the others will be happy with it. I'm having second thoughts. Whatever. You said that you'd teach me how to be a better Shadowrunner. I'm here to collect. Still remember that, do you? I just sort of assumed that you'd laugh it off. No dice, wizened mentor. You offered, now pay up. She straightens. Okay, how about this? I'll tell you a story about a run gone bad. You tell me what you could have done in the runner's place, and then we'll compare notes on your answers. How does that sound? You tell me. You're the teacher here, remember? Works for me, I guess. She sweeps back a tangled rope of hair out of her eyes and back over one pointed ear. After a moment of silent contemplation, she bites her lip and nods. Okay, so this is a story from early in my career. I was part of a team here in HK, or Hong Kong for those of you scoring at home. But I did some occasional moonlighting for another group based out of Macau. Macau? I've got nothing. I don't know how to enunciate cities, guys. I'm sorry. We'll say Macau. Sounds cool. Sounds very bird-like. I was a busy kid. Go on. Early in your career, you were like, what, 12 years old? Who was on this other team? Anyone I might know? Let's say 12 years old. I like it. Her eyes narrow and mock indignation. You say that like I couldn't have been. When I was 12, I could have destroyed you. And also I was 16, practically an adult in orc years. We grow up fast. Anyway, this job was a hit on this tower, sort of a trid multiplex / apartment complex. I'm sure that they've got them in Seattle, too. You know the kind. 7 huge screens, monster concession stand, coffin apartments on top, like barnacles on a whale. I used to go to one back in Seattle. Best way to watch Urban Brawl. Never been to one, but I've heard of them. I lived in one for a while. Every time they showed an action movie, the walls would shake. Urban Brawl. Good. You know what I'm talking about, then. Our client wanted us to break into one of the apartments. The story was that an ex of hers, a guy named Boggs, lived there. She'd been cooped up with him until about a week prior, then things went sour in a big way. She wanted us to get back some things that Boggs kept when he kicked her out. Scared the crap out of him, bloody him up a bit, make it look like a robbery. You know the drill. Sounds more like a job for thrill gangers than full-fledged Shadowrunners. I pulled a few jobs like that myself back when I lived in the Barrens. It was a standard smash and grab then. I'd still say that sounds more like a less Shadowrunner dealy. Yeah, it was a pretty bush league gig, but the pay was decent enough. Not the sort of thing you turn down. So anyways, sibilance. Sibilance? Sure. That was our group leader, had a plan. We knew that we had to go in quiet because the Metroplex had a panic system wired directly to the HKPF. If we'd gone in shooting, we'd been drowned in cops within 10 minutes. Sib thought that we could take advantage of the apartment's terrible soundproofing and kick in Bog's door when the movie got loud. We'd camp out near his doorway, wait for the ceiling to start raining plaster, then smash our way in with his neighbors none the wiser. That sounds kind of familiar. It doesn't sound like a bad plan. There's no way that would work. It doesn't sound like a bad plan. Well, it had the virtue of being simple, I'll give it that, but still, that didn't stop things from going, well, the way that they did. So we waited in the hall, just like sibilance planned. We had a guy on the elevator, another at the stairs. I was waiting by the floor's communal kitchen. Sib took up the position by the door. She had these cyber legs that she'd dumped a ton of Nuyen into. Hydraulic jacks, strength enhancements, the works. Girl could probably leg press a dump truck. She pauses for a minute. Come to think of it, most of her plans involved kicking things. Anyway, there's something a little sad about that. Focus, Gobbet. Hey, if that was her thing, I wouldn't question it. And this woman was the best suited to lead this particular group of runners? Focus, Gobbet. Right, the story, right. So we heard a boom from downstairs, felt the wall shake with the reverb. Sib wheeled back and gave the door a massive kick, just as she planned. From where I was standing, I couldn't really see what happened next. I could hear a massive crack as her boot slammed into the duroplast. The door flew off its hinges, exploded off, might be a more accurate phrase. A second later, we heard an ungodly crash. There was a moment of silence, then Sib let out a little gasp. The apartment was in shambles. It looked like a hurricane had hit it. Everything was thrashed, everything but the door, which was miraculously still in one piece. Remember that this was a coffin apartment. It wasn't much wider than the door was to begin with. And Boggs, well, what was left of him was under the door, too. Well, that didn't turn out well. Oh, no. Well, you got the rough him up part right. Yeah, unfortunately, he wound up being a lot rougher than he was supposed to be. Her nose crinkles in discomfort. The door really did a number on him, ribs sticking out of the skin, that kind of thing. It was a bloody mess. So yeah, Boggs was dead. The stuff we'd been sent to the apartment to recover had been smashed to bits, and then the building alarm went off. So that's the situation. Our payday is smashed. My temporary teammates are all standing around with stupid looks on their faces. The cops are coming. I'm standing by the kitchen. She plants her hands on her hips, smiling. What would you have done in my place? Your group was in trouble. I'd have rallied with them, tried to get them to fight their way past the cops and out. Sibilance created the situation. You weren't even part of their team. You were subcontracting. I'd have cut and run. Damage control. I'd have looked for blackmail material to protect yourself from a soon-to-be angry client. I'd have tried to improvise. Was there anything in the kitchen you could use to resolve the situation? Good thinking. As it happens, there was, and I knew just what to do with it. The thought popped into my head, and I just went with it. She taps her temple with a smile. There's a lesson to remember, Seattle. The first answer that you come up with is almost always the best one you're going to have, so just roll with it. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't hesitate, just act. You'll live longer that way. Got it. Now, when I think crowded theater, I think place where you can't shout fire because it'll cause a panic. And then I thought, cops don't charge into burning buildings. They help people get out of them. And as it happened, I had the means to create real, genuine fire sitting right across from me. A pair of industrial ovens. You set the building on fire? Yeah, sure, makes sense to me, I guess. God, but I don't think that I can imagine an idea much worse than that. You set the building on fire? I encouraged it to burn. Opened the gas vents wide, set the range on a timer, and motored back into the hallway. The others had started arguing amongst themselves. I told them to snap out of it and follow me down into the lobby. We had to clear the hallway before an errant spark took the whole floor out. Unfortunately, the rest of the group wouldn't listen. Sib and the rest of the team were too busy arguing about the relative merits of her let's kick things really hard and see what happens tactical system to want anything to do with me. I shouted back to them that the kitchen was going to explode and continued down the hallway. Just like I'd planned, I got out of that run in one piece. So did every single one of the people in that multiplex. My fire plan worked beautifully. And if the rest of the team had listened to me, they might have gotten out of the building too. Kind of a bummer that they didn't, but at least the run turned out well for me. How? Your team burned to death. All's well that ends well, I guess. How? Well, I couldn't collect any pay because the run had been a disaster. But after the explosion, I got to ride in the front of the fire truck, and they gave me cookies and a blanket. I wound up dating one of the firemen a few weeks later. All things considered, it could have gone a lot worse. That's kind of funny. Gobbet clasps her hands together and rubs them, a satisfied look on her face. So, Seattle. The laughter disappears from her voice, and her expression goes serious. It's like someone flipped a switch. Suddenly, the look in her eyes is shrewd, calculating. Tell me, what was the moral of this story? What lesson was I trying to convey? Don't go on Shadowruns with idiots. Go with your gut, I guess. Fire solves all problems. I'm sorry, did that story have a point? Go with your gut. She nods sagely. That's right, trust your impulses and don't be afraid to wing it. Almost any action is better than no action at all. Once you've committed to doing something, you've got to follow it through. Though, no arguing or hand-wringing, just do it. If you get caught up in your own head, agonizing over past mistakes, well, don't be surprised if you wind up dead. A kitchen fire can take you down as easily as a cop's bullet if you stand around and let it. I'm having second thoughts about the new name for the boat. Are you certain that Sibilance and the rest of the Macaw team are dead? She shrugs. They weren't with me when I got evacuated with the rest of the moviegoers. I never saw them leave the building, and I haven't heard from them since. I guess it's possible that somebody made it, but I don't really run in those circles anymore. Odds are good that if anyone from the Macaw team did survive, they'll have died off by now from sheer incompetence. Shadowrunning is an unforgiving business. You don't get to make too many mistakes. Did any of that stuff in that story actually happen, or did you just make it up for my benefit? Seattle, I'm hurt. It all went down exactly as I said it did. She pauses. Well, except for a couple of embellishments here and there, but they make the story a bit better. You know, artistic license and all that. Gobbet leans back and stifles a yawn. Madness and folly dart up her left shoulder and lock their beady eyes on you. Hate to break it to you, kiddo, but I'm beat. Kiddo, really? It's been a long day. Lesson's over for now. We'll pick it back up next time. All right, Gobbet, I'll catch you next time. Watch who you're calling kiddo. I'm older than you are. All right, we'll catch up with you next time. Yeah, sounds good. I'll have your next lesson ready and waiting, too. She makes a brushing motion with her fingers. Scurry along now. Your mentor needs rest. Well, good for you, Gobbet. Alright, I think originally I was planning to go downstairs and do a bunch of stuff and get things handled. I was going to go talk to my rigger, and I was going to go find the other individual that joined us, the ghoul, as it were. But what I think I still may do that, or I may go out to the waterfront. Either way, guys, talking to those two folks, unfortunately, pretty much blew through the entire episode. So, I know, guys, lots and lots of storyline, but hey, hopefully you're a big fan of the Shadowrun series and the Shadowrun lore and just the whole universe and world that's created for Shadowrun. I really like it. I enjoyed reading these things. I enjoy the storyline, all of it. It's a lot of fun to me, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Either way, folks, I am out of here. I will see you next time with more Shadowrun. Until then, my name's Bumpy McSquigums. Thank you for stopping by the Freak Show, and I will see you later.